Your goal when watching this video is to know what interest is and to know how to calculate simple interest. So we're going to start by defining what interest is. Interest is money that you get paid to have your money in the bank. So if you start a savings account, you start some sort of account at the bank, all right, in order to attract you to their bank and have you store your money in the bank instead of, a piggy bank at home, the bank will pay you interest. They'll pay you a little bit extra. If it's simple interest, they'll pay you a little bit extra every year. And that amount that they pay you, that interest, is based on how much is in your account, based on the principal. All right. You can also earn, or you can also deal with interest when you borrow money. So if you want to buy a new snowmobile, you're $1,000 short, you could go, maybe if you have good credit, if you have a good reputation for paying back other loans that you've taken, you go to the bank and say, hey, I need $1,000. And the bank will say, sure, here's $1,000. You have good history of paying back your debts. But they're not going to do that for free. They're going to say, yep, you can borrow this $1,000 for a year, or maybe for 2 years, but you're going to be charged 2% interest. You're going to have to pay back the $1,000 plus a little bit, plus 2% of that each year. So in order to calculate interest, simple interest, here's our formula that we will be using this whole section. To find simple interest, the amount of money that you get paid either to deposit your money at the bank for a certain amount of time, or the amount of interest you have to pay to borrow money from somewhere. All right, so to find that extra amount you have to pay, that interest, you take the principal. Principal is the amount you deposit at the bank, or the $1,000 loan you take out. 1,000 is the principal. All right, you take the principal times the rate, the interest rate. So if the rate is 5%, and you borrowed $1,000, you'd say, okay, what is 5%? Here's my rate. What's 5% of $1,000? So you take principal times rate, and then you have to find out how many years you are going to leave that money in the bank, or how many years you are going to take out that loan over, because you have to pay this, or you have to either get this interest for that many years, or you have to pay it for that many years. So after you find out what the principal times rate is, what is 5% of 1,000? Oh, you're borrowing that money for 2 years, then you're going to have to pay 5% of 1,000 twice. So after you take principal times rate, you also have to multiply by the time in years. All right, time is always in years. So if your time was 12 months, that'd be like, you'd want to write that in your equation as 1 year. If your time was 3 years, t equals 3. If your time was 6 months, then t would equal 0.5 years. All right, let's do a few examples to make this have a little more sense to it. You put $500 in a savings account. Remember, the amount you deposit or the amount you borrow is your principal. So first, I would like you to write the formula. To calculate interest, you take principal times rate times time. You put $500 in a savings account. That's our principal. All right? The amount you deposit or the amount you borrow is the principal, the original amount. The account earns 3% simple interest per year. All right? So that's our rate. Our rate is 3% as a decimal. 3% is 3 out of 100. 300 looks like that. All right, per year. Part A says, what is the interest earned after 3 years? Okay, so there's our time. So here's what we're going to do. We want to find interest. So we're going to take our $500, which is our principal, times our rate, which is 3%. So our question right now is, what is 3% of 500? Every year we're getting paid an extra 3% of $500 just to keep our money at that bank. But we're not going to do that just for 1 year. We're going to do that for 3 years. All right, so my variable is a loan. So on this side, I just do the math. 500 times 300. All right, that's $15. So in 1 year, you're getting paid $15 of interest. But we're doing it for 3 years, so we're going to take it times 3. It's 45. So interest is $45. What that means is if you put $500 into this bank account that pays 3% simple interest, every year you're going to get $15 just for having your money in the bank. Over 3 years, you're going to get $45 just for having your money in the bank. So that's part A. That's the answer. Part B says, what is the balance after 3 years? So total, what's in your account? Well, what's in your account is the principal plus the interest. So you originally deposited $500. You earned an extra $45 for keeping it there. So when you go back after 3 years and you expect to take out your $500, it's really going to be $545. So interest can be a very good thing if you're getting paid interest because you have money in the bank. Okay, here's another case where interest is good. You're getting paid interest. Well, let's start with our interest. Since we're finding an interest rate, we know we're going to need our formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. All right, you put $1,000 in an account. There's my principal. The amount you deposit or the amount you borrow. The account earns $100 simple interest. All right, $100 simple interest. They're telling us the interest. So in this case, they told us the interest. In 4 years, there's our time. What is the annual interest rate? So here, my principal is $1,000. All right. My interest is $100. All right. So I put $1,000 in an account and I earned $100 extra for keeping my money there. And my time is 4. My rate, I do not know. Okay, so here I'm trying to find out what my rate is. And to do this, I say, all right, gotta get the variable alone. On this side, multiplication, like 1 times 2 times 3, is the same as 2 times 3 times 1. They both give me the same answer. So when I have something that's all multiplying, I can switch the order. So let's switch the order and multiply these two first. I have 4,000 times R equals 100. I need to get R alone to find out what the rate is. So we're going to divide both sides by 4,000. If you need to pause and catch up in writing, you can do that. All right, 4,000 divided by 4,000 is 1. I'm left with R equals, all right, my rate equals my interest rate as a percent, 2.5%. So my interest rate is 2.5%. Every year, I'm getting paid 2.5% extra in interest. Last example, finding an amount of time. Okay, a bank offers free savings accounts, all right? If you deposit less than $500, here's your interest rate. If you deposit between $500 and $5,000, you get a higher interest rate. You're getting paid more interest. And if you deposit more than $5,000, you're getting an even higher interest rate. So they're encouraging you to deposit as much money there as possible. Okay. So it says the simple interest rate is determined by the principal. So these circled things, those are the principal. That's the amount that different people can deposit. These top parts are the simple interest rate. How long does it take an account with a principal of 800? So principal of 800 would fall into this category. All right, principal is 800. The rate for that account is 2%. And here, we want to know how many years, how much time it would take to earn $100 in interest. So time is question mark, interest is $100. Okay, so my formula, interest, you take principal times the rate times the number of years. We know the interest, it's $100. We want to know how long it'll take our money to earn an extra $100 for us. Principal is 800 times rate, which is 2%, times the time, that's what we don't know. So our goal is to get T alone so we can figure out what it is. I'm going to start by simplifying this side of the equation. 800 times 0.02 gives us 16 times T, which would be 16T. All right, our variable is still not alone. Divide both sides by 16. When you do 100 divided by 16, you should get 6.25. All right, remember time is always in years, so that's saying it takes a little bit more than 6 years to earn $100 in interest when you originally put